Hello there and welcome to Shuttlebay 4. We finally discuss a Discovery episode. Is New Eden the best episode for disco haters? Does it feel more Trek? It certainly has some killer lines, but it doesn't quite get donuts.
Why have you got your Christmas tree up there?
That isn't a Christmas tree because it's no longer Christmas and the Christmas tree's away. I missed having it, and the missus remembered that we have this like LED tree thing.
Which is the Christmas tree.
It's not a Christmas. It's just a regular tree.
Rashid.
Hey, Rashid's on. We were just talking about Rashid.
Oh,
we were just talking about you. Hello.
Things I hope.
Yes, they were good things. Yes. Well, we were saying.
Right.
I'm speaking on behalf of everybody, but yes, we're all right.
Bold of you to assume, Dan.
Right, I tell you what, I'm going to kick off with this episode then that we watched because I've got a good feeling about today. I think we're going to get positive vibes, and it's a Discovery episode, which makes it even more bizarre because normally Discovery gets slated. So I'm gonna kick off with my notes quickly and then I'll just listen to what everybody else says. Note number one: I like the ship. I always liked the Discovery ship anyway. It reminded me of the Star Trek Phase 2 design, for the Enterprise. I like the uniform. I didn't like the uniforms later on, but I really like this uniform. Mm-hmm. I like the bridge. I like the crew. I like the dynamic between the crew. They were all working together. It felt good. It felt like Star Trek. The sounds on the bridge were brilliant. You've got a mixture of the TOS sounds and TNG era sounds, like with the computer error message. I noticed that. There's loads of great lines in it. I can't quite remember all the lines, but you've got the thing about a highway made of mushrooms. You never forget your first, when Saru's talking about the jump. And there's a bit where Pike has got like fractured ribs or something, or bruised ribs, and he's not allowed to laugh. And Burnham says, "Fortunately for you, I was brought up on Vulcan." I thought it was full of really great lines.
Fortunately for you, I was raised on Vulcan. We don't do funny.
They talk about the theories of extraterrestrial life being godlike, to people on other planets. And I thought that was very Star Trek-y. It was quite philosophical. There's lots of science in this episode. I put Saru is great throughout the episode. I think it's very sage-like. He's very calm, and he gets the best out of the crew. The only negative thing I've got to say about this episode is, at this time, they were a bit obsessed with Musk and a bit of hero worship, and she went to Musk High School, and I think that's not aged very well because now he's turned into some like billionaire dick.
Musk Junior High School.
But other than that, I actually really enjoyed the episode, and it made me a bit angry because everything was there for Discovery to be an absolutely superb, amazing series, and this is a perfect example of it. It's a great episode, a really, really, not just a great episode of Discovery, but a great episode of Star Trek. And I never really warmed to the rest of Discovery, and everything it felt like it was lacking for me was in this episode. So it is there, but horses for courses. I know a lot of people did like Discovery, and you can't like everything, I guess, but that's all I've got to say on Discovery. Thank you. Who wants to go next? I'm keen to hear what Rashid said, to be honest, because I know that you are a Discovery fan.
I am a Discovery fan. I mean, I would say the first two seasons were really good. I liked them a lot. But 3 and 4, I wasn't so keen, basically. I thought season 4 was really disappointing. Season 3 was okay, but season 2 and season 1 were really, really good, in my opinion. And I love New Eden. I think it's one of my favorite episodes in Star Trek. That's how highly I rate it. I think everything about going to a place where they never experienced warp drive, I find that fascinating, pre-warp place, they go dressed and just the way, by the way, Jacob is actually Sunil Martin Green's real husband in real life. You know that? The guy who plays Jacob.
Oh, okay.
I didn't know that. All right.
Bit of trivia there for you as well. Anyway, and
oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
And the way Tilly comes up with a really good idea, I love her relationship with Stamets, because even though it's like teacher apprentice, but she really wants to, wants him to be proud of her, basically, So I like Tilly for lots of reasons. She's so silly, like she does look like a Starfleet officer, yet she's so good in other ways, And Pike just impresses the hell out of me. I love the way he holds himself, the way he speaks. He just demands respect. I think people really like and respect him as a captain. Can't help it, really. It's just the way he just speaks to them, and the way he willing to sacrifice himself, the way they took the thing in his bullet. his point blank range. That was really courageous of him as well. And that end bit when Pike comes to meet Jacob at the end, that conversation they have about climbing through the stars and talking about the future, that is such a beautiful scene. I mean, I get emotional watching that because it's just the way they both acted that scene out was really, really beautiful. Lots of good things. The donut maneuver by Detmer was really cool as well. Excellent. And yes, I think it's really good. I really enjoyed it, as you can see. And not just saying because I'm a Discovery fan, but as an episode as a whole, I think every Star Trek fan should find something they like about it, basically.
So, Rashid, you say this is one of your favourite episodes in Star Trek, and I said something similar there. So, do you feel that this episode feels quite different to a lot of the rest of Discovery? Because to me, it did feel quite different to the rest.
That's a really good question. I think I'll agree with you, Dan. Yes, because the way the Discovery goes, just like somebody thinks, well, how is that possible? You know, the way the episode's written, the way they interact with the inhabitants on the ground as well, the science element as well in the episode is really, really good. Yeah, so it felt like more like Star Trek watching New Eden for me.
Yeah, no, it does make sense. Because I was trying to think, why does this feel more like Star Trek to me than the rest? I think it is because it was tighter. When they were on the bridge, they were kind of all together. You've got like Tilly coming up with really good ideas. You've got people supporting and encouraging each other, that kind of positive vibe that you get from Star Trek. You had an away mission as well, which is quite Star Trek-y. And it just felt like all the key bits of Star Trek, like I mentioned, that various philosophical things. I do like it when it gets quite sciencey, and I think Penfold likes it when it gets sciencey as well. All those aspects that I feel that other episodes of Discovery may be missing. I think sometimes it's because it feels a bit fractured. It's focused on one or two characters here or one or two there, and it's fine to do that if you're developing the characters, but it's good to see them all together, working together as a crew, and it's one of the few episodes where I think we see that.
Definitely agree.
So a few episodes back, when everybody was giving Discovery a kicking, I did say this was an episode that I really enjoyed, because I think the question was asked, is there actually anybody here that likes Discovery? And I said there was one episode I really enjoyed. I didn't remember it, but what I remembered was the helmet cam. That's the part I remembered. I said at the time, and I'll stay with it, the reason I like that episode is because it is very reminiscent of old Trek. It is a really good story that you would expect from an old Trek episode. It's brilliant. Okay, something I hate. You see this a lot in films and TV and everything. I don't think it actually happens in real life. But it's the bit where Burnham was going to tell Pike at the beginning that she saw the Red Angel, and she changed her mind and switched the subject. That really pisses me off. Either commit or just don't bring it up. Oh, by the way, I've got something to tell you. I love you in that shirt. Oh. Okay, so Tilly, when she was going at the dark matter with the mining gear, that was absolutely so well done with the acting, because you could tell she was out of her depth. You didn't know what she's doing, and the way she kept fidgeting with her goggles, it just showed her nervousness. Okay, you know, am I sure I'm up for this? And she just ploughed ahead regardless. But the whole acting in that scene was just so on point. Absolutely perfect for an ensign. Not sure whether she should do it or not, and to hell with it, I'm going to do it. The bit where they said basically you're going to be doing a donut in a starship. So going through most of Trek, most people don't know what a car is, or have ever seen it. So the fact that they know what a donut is I was like, really? Okay.
So glad I weren't the only one that picked up on that.
Okay, so when Detmer was asked if she was up for the task, and she says, "Are you kidding me, sir? I've had my pilot license since I was 12." That was a refreshing line for me for Star Trek, because normally when someone says, "Are you up for this?" it's kind of, ask me again when we're done. You know, are you up for this? Well, you know, I'll give it a go. But this was just all guile. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I've had my pilot license at 12. Yeah, I'm up for this. It was about time someone had confidence in their abilities to get on and do what was needed, rather than sort of second guess, you know, and, well, you know, as ready as I'll ever be. It was just all balls out. Absolutely loved it. Again, you picked up on it where she said, I was raised on Vulcan. We don't do funny. And you just knew he was going to go, ha. And you knew he was going to do it. But to be fair, he didn't even get started, which was what made it funny.
Maybe I should just shut up.
Now, the end scene with Pike and Jacob, where they had that chat over the head cam, absolutely nailed that scene. I loved it. I loved the way, because normally, especially when he come up with a power cell, and he said, "How about a trade?" He said, "A power cell with a very long life for the head cam." Now, normally, you would get the other person haggling about it. Well, I don't know. It's been there a while. How about one of those phasers of yours? How about this? How about that? How about some more information? How about you take me with you? And the guy didn't even flinch. He just kind of went, "Yeah," and he rushed off and he got it. It was like, there you go. He was happy. Like when he turned off that homing beacon, he literally turned it off. He said, "I've got what I wanted." He didn't want anything else.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought when he said, you fly among the stars, I kind of thought then he's going to ask to go with him, but he didn't. He got his answers. He was happy. Job done. And I thought that was really refreshing for Star Trek, because you hear those questions a lot when they find pre-warp civilizations. You get those conversations a lot, and that wasn't this. This guy was content.
Yeah, because I thought maybe even watching it this time, because I've seen it before, although it's a few years old now, this episode. It's amazing now Discovery has become a few years old. We're nearly in season 5. I thought it was going to be like the first contact, where I can't remember the name of the woman now. Picard takes her onto the bridge, and she touches the
Lily.
That's it.
Oh.
And she goes, "Whoa!" I thought it was going to be like that, but it was such a great character, because he was like, "That's good enough for me." The fact that I know that there's an Earth is out there and that we're in the stars, and it was quite a wholesome way of looking at it. That it was content. That was, and I agree with you. It felt like it was going to go in the starship, but it didn't need to do that. And the fact it didn't need to do it spoke volumes about this one character who didn't have much screen time, but felt like a really well fleshed out character.
Yeah.
Nice one. Oh, cheers, Chris. I like that. That was good. Okay. So, Steve, did you want to go next? Did you say?
Yeah. I must admit, it's possibly the least objectionable episode of Discovery I've seen, which regular viewers will know that's quite high praise coming from me.
Yeah.
Regarding anything Trek. I did notice a few problems, some that have already been mentioned. So Pike bangs on about the Prime Directive, essentially what's the Prime Directive. Yet they beam down to a planet in broad daylight amongst all those buildings. Right? Which struck me as a little bit odd.
Because the way you see it as well, it's almost like the camera's in the sky and you see this like bright light.
Exactly. And it's just like, wouldn't it have been better to be outside of town amongst some bushes or something? But no, we're going to do it slap bang, broad daylight in the middle of a town. All right, they've probably scanned for life signs, but for all you know, there could have been someone in a house out looking out the window at the time. So that seemed a little bit careless to me.
But Steve, that would have meant they needed to walk. It's
They
don't do walking.
No, that's right. Fair point. Maybe they could have got that buggy that Data and Picard ride in.
Yeah.
That could have saved them the walk.
They could have done some donuts.
Also, I know you've mentioned that the scene with Tilly and the mining was really good, and it was really well acted and filmed and everything. But it just struck me she'd gone ahead and done this thing that she shouldn't have done without the proper safety measures and everything else that wasn't necessarily sanctioned, yet received no punishment for it afterward. And you sit there and you think, if you've got a hierarchy and you've got rules and you've got processes, to willingly abandon those processes, which could have got everybody killed. It's not like she was in the mess hall and she dropped a plate when she wasn't supposed to be in the mess hall. It's not something like that. That could have caused some serious damage. And yet it was, that's all right, don't worry about it. It's all good.
The way it felt to me was like, do you know when your parents are really pissed off with you? And maybe not so much now that I'm 43, but when I was younger, like when I cut a hole in the roof so I could get into a little den in the loft, instead of telling me off, that classic thing where they're kind of like, I'm disappointed. And it felt like he almost did that. It was like, you shouldn't really done this. And you got the impression it was a bit, he took it personally. It was a bit personally upset that she did it. And maybe that meant more than actually, giving her a bit of a dressing down. Plus, there was also the fact that it was a really good idea. And I did like the fact that it does kind of give her a bit of a. It was a pretty good idea, you know.
I completely get that, but if so, say you're cutting a hole in the roof, right? That wouldn't have necessarily run the risk of killing your parents. Do you know what I mean?
True. That's true. Yeah.
It may have given them a heart attack when they discover it, but it wasn't. I just think it was for such a serious thing. It's good an idea. If it was that good of an idea, why didn't she approach Saru and say, "Look, I've got this idea. This is what I think." Blah blah blah. As good of a scene as it was, that wasn't very Starfleet, if that makes sense. It was a bit on the wreck side for what it is. Another bit is when Saru, I can't remember exactly what point it was, starts banging on about destiny and why they were brought there. You know, my understanding of Starfleet is it's scientific exploration. When did we start coming up with destiny and believing, you know, we were brought here for a reason?
You're fulfilling your destiny.
Well, you're not. You saw something, you went and tracked it down, and you're looking into it. And what is with Burnham and wanting to break the Prime Directive and every fucking rule in the book? Leave it alone, love. You're not learnt your lesson after you triggered the Klingon War. You know, at what point does she go, well, maybe I should start following the rules because breaking them's not really worked out for me. You know,
got her a promotion.
Yeah, fair play. And the only other thing I've got is the donut like Chris said.
Donut.
I enjoyed it. It felt more like Trek, but I wouldn't necessarily sit and watch it again.
Sorry, did you say you enjoyed it, Steve? Can you just say that one more time?
Ooh. No, you're recording it. Read it back. I enjoyed it.
While I was watching it, I was thinking, I bet Steve enjoys this, and he's going to choke on them words.
Oh, yeah.
After Steve was effing and blooded last time speaking about Discovery, I was thinking, he's not going to like this at all. But
was it actually a donut? Because to me, it looked more like drifting.
We're being proper Trekkies now, really dissecting it. That wasn't a donut. That was more a drift.
A drift. Yeah, they were drifting.
Can I go next?
Yeah, of course you can. Go for it.
I like the emphasis of Tilly's psychosis beginning of seeing the girl.
Me, yeah.
Because I'm a mental health nurse. I just thought it was interesting about that. Because I shan't say anything else because it carried on into the other episodes. But I also liked the emphasis of religion in the episode, from all walks of life, from all different worlds, and how they created their own Bible in a sense. That's it for me.
Nice one. Cheers, Marie.
Oh.
Actually, yeah, it's a good point about the religion. I kind of didn't mention that, but it was quite nice that blend. I also quite liked because when you see like the church and the old-fashioned village, I'm thinking, oh no, Steve's going to class this as a time travel episode.
So, right, well, I'll start from the beginning. I noticed immediately Pike on screen so different from what he looks like in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
Like he's got no grey in his hair and there's no Pike's Peak going on. And just looks so different because he's wearing that dark uniform as well. It really emphasises his dark hair. And I think as well, I wonder if the story is kind of he goes grey because of the events that occurs. And so, you know, he's got his grey and Strange New Worlds. But it was very noticeable because Pike's Peak is a big part of his character in Strange New Worlds, you know what I mean? I kind of like the opening. The opening was quite a lot of intrigue. So it's surrounding these red lights that they've been sent to investigate, and they've got like overriding power kind of to do what they like or need to solve this mystery. And then mentioning Spock. He was missing, but actually now she's been told he's in hospital and he doesn't want the family involved or anything. So it just added quite a lot of intrigue into the story. You see Stamets talking about Culber, Dr. Culber in this episode, and right now in this period of their relationship and what's going on, I'm not really fussed on the story. Because I know what's coming next. And, you know, like he died. And I like the fact he comes back because Dr. Culber kind of saves season 3 and 4 a little bit for me. I think his character really grows. But what's going on in their relationship right now, I don't really appreciate. Because it's not really brought up much in Star Trek at all. And so it is interesting to have those religious elements in. But I thought it was quite interesting from a character's perspective that Pike was the one showing that he's got a lot of empathy for that. And obviously you've got Burnham on the opposite side because she has to be the opposite of whatever. And it's fair to say her religion is science. So I thought that was kind of a nice perspective. So you saw Dr. Pollock just briefly in sickbay, and I kind of like Dr. Pollock. You don't get to see enough of her, I don't think. You see her a little bit more throughout the series. But anytime I see her, she's quite nice. I like her character anyway. She's quite abrasive, but she's always funny-ish with it, which is quite common through the Doctors, I guess. When Saru was talking to Tilly in sickbay, whatever you think, Steve, that Tilly's actions were idiotic, blah, 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 and she should have got sent to the brig and demoted. I just think Saru shows real good qualities there. I really like Saru's character. I know some people don't, but I think he's an amazing character with really, really great depth. And when he's talking to her, like you said, Dan, there's part of the story that is telling her off a little bit, but also giving her a good reason why, and the fact that she has come up with a really good idea and giving her praise from that point of view. And later on the bridge, I think his command of the ship is really good, and the command of the crew is really good. He kind of does listen and ask for some input, but when his decision is made, I find him quite decisive. So I think this shows just little glimpses of his character that shines through later. They mentioned they're trying to communicate with the planet, and once again, radiation. Of course we can't communicate or transport or do anything we need to at this immediate moment because there's radiation. Like, oh, of course, radiation. The donut scene. So the donut. Actually, I liked the idea of it, and there was a good build-up to it, really good build-up.
You would be doing a donut in a starship.
And then she actually calls it the donut maneuver, I think, something like that. And then they do it, and I'm like, it's not a fucking donut. Oh, come on, we're waiting forward to something here. And I just thought that was a bit of a letdown. So I know, again, Burnham came up from Steve and how he hates her, but I just think, I know what she does too much is give the opposite. So she's always, whatever the commander's decision is, she kind of wants to argue the opposite point of view, which I think is a good thing. I think the way Discovery does it is abrasive to some people because the way they show opposite points of view is through Burnham, and so her character gets a lot of flack because she's always the one pointing out, oh, well, should we do this? Or actually, is that a good idea? Or blah, blah, blah. And they use that a little bit too much, I admit. But I think it's just because she comes from a point of view of she just has to do something. When she feels something needs to be done, there's nothing that can stop her having to do it. There's like this need in her to have to do it. So
do you not think that, because the impression I constantly get from her is that she thinks no matter what, she is always right, and to hell with anybody else. She's right, everyone else is wrong, they should do it her way. And it's just that whole persona and the way she is with that just really grates on me.
Yeah,
which is one of the reasons I find it really hard to watch.
I can understand that point. I think they just pushed that part of her character too much for her to ever become a sympathetic character then. I know people that like Burnham. I don't know people who love Burnham. That was, that's part of the writer's fault as well. And the way that series decided to have her as a main character while not being the actual commander of most of the series that she's playing.
Jonathan Frakes, regular director on Disco, he calls her the most unlikable character on TV.
Yeah,
and
they've written her like that, so it's unfortunate that even he thinks she's that unlikable. But it's the way they've written that character. So, and they didn't even do it in a way that they wanted you to dislike her and always be in that opposite point of view that we go against. It was they still want you to sympathise with her, and they just never got that. They never quite got that. So I just, as a whole, I think the episode there is quite a bit of TOS I can see in it. The away mission to the planet feels a lot TOS. It was a kind of a very nice story, and what they were able to do for them was really nice. So the ending of that particular arc, that A story, B story, was nice. It was really nice. So you had a nice ending for the people on the planet, but then you also had a cliffhanger into future episodes because you actually saw the Red Angel properly. The way, was it Jacob? Is that the character's name?
Jacob, yeah.
Yeah, I found that you mentioned his storyline quite a bit, and he wasn't in it for a lot, but he was effective. And I just found, from that point of view, you mentioning him not wanting other technology and him being happy, it just, for me, was really nice because it, like you said, gave validation to him and his family that for 200 years have believed this, but kind of the other people don't, or want you not to believe that, please, we've got a different way of life. So I thought it was nice validation for him and all of his family over those generations. And so for his character, he was able to say, that's good enough for me. you know, I can live happily now here. I don't need to even leave the planet. Somebody mentioned the pilot saying, yeah, I've been a pilot since I'm 12. And I picked up on that as well and thought it was a really good point, because she's not given many lines in many episodes, so you don't really see loads of character growth. But what you do see when she's like in the first 2 series is how positive she is and how strong she is in her capabilities. Like pilots are known to be cocky, you know what I mean? And then later on, interesting because she has to deal with not feeling like that and getting some therapy to help. So I thought those little bits in these episodes, you don't notice just because it was one episode, but as you watch a series, you notice these tiny character developments and matter then in the future.
Had my pilot's license since 12, sir.
There's a scene, do you remember when Silly leaves sick bay? Tilly leaves tick bay, whichever one of those you want. And she goes the wrong way. Yeah. Well, that wasn't in the script at all. And it was only while shooting it did Jonathan Frakes think, actually, I'll throw this in. This works better for me. And so it was during the dailies when he was showing Kurtzman. Kurtzman saw it and was like, oh, he thought it was amazing, basically. So kept it in just because it is Tilly's character and it adds that tiny bit of comedy. Because there wasn't tons of comedy in the episode, but it added that one moment of comedy, and it just shows how amazing Jonathan Frakes is. You know what I mean?
But she'd just been called a genius as well, so that's what makes that scene so brilliant. She's just been called a genius, and she runs out and runs the wrong way. So it's a real subtle but brilliant comedy moment.
Yeah. That was all down to Jonathan Frakes. He wasn't in the script, and it was just while he was shooting. He said, "Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah. I didn't know that. That's good. There, I think that is worthy of an oh my. Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Well, you didn't like oh my because that was going to be one of my little things.
Was it? Oh.
Yeah. Oh well. To be fair, everyone's covered everything really. Well,
Penfold.
Have watched this.
Say it at the end, and we'll edit like you said it. We'll all react massively to it.
The biggest thing for me was it made me remember when I first watched it, thinking when I first watched the first season, it was okay. I was getting through it. I was like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay. And then when I remember watching this episode, thinking, we're back to Trek. This is proper Star Trek for me.
Yes.
Obviously, I like the alien planets and in costumes and almost like a time travel thing. But yeah, the best thing I can add is it really did feel like Star Trek, and I just wish they continued that tone. I think it was definitely Christopher Pike that carried season 2 for me. That's why I like season 2, because he was the glue that built all together, made it more Trek, and yeah.
And weren't you going to say something about?
Oh, he can have it. You know, I'll let him have it. Bless him.
All right, okay. Sit down, everyone. Hope you're all sitting comfortably because Patch is about to give us his essay.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Discovery, according to Patch.
Right. What I do like about this episode and about every episode on Disco is the sets are fantastic, the sound effects are fantastic, and the visuals, the special effects, they're really good. They're mustard. It starts off with this red cloud before the credits, and it's just so brilliantly done. It really is. I noticed it all the way through. I noticed the sound effects. I love the sound effects on Discovery's bridge as well. It's like a slowed down version of the original series. The original series is quite abrasive. Yeah. As soon as I started watching it, Burnham didn't tell the captain what was wrong in the recap, and he was like, "If there's anything wrong, you'll tell me, though, won't you?" And she's like, "There was something I wanted to tell him and didn't tell him," and I was like, "Oh yeah, that's why I stopped watching this." The way the camera was held in this episode, there was a lot of swing and a lot of jiggling around and free camera stuff. And I think it was like NYPD Blue in space for me. It was a bit too raw. That's Jonathan Frakes' fault, I guess, because he directed it. But I couldn't get on with that. I don't like Stamets. I don't like Tilly's little house on the prairie hairdo. You know, when they decide to use this spore drive and they load another like blue thing of spores into the fuel thing. It reminded me a lot of The Fifth Element. I don't know if any of you remember the two Rastafarian.
Personnel.
Where I stopped making notes and I just started gritting my teeth was where, and I think Brush mentioned the opposing view is given through Burnham, but she's like, I'm going to tell these people. I'm going to tell these people everything. And Pike's like, no, don't do that. And it was almost like, can you not just do as you're told? I'm telling you, don't do that. Yeah, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it. They need to know. I'm a scientist. I'm into science. And I was like, yeah, we know. Just fucking do as you're told, will you? The way they tried to blend religion into one stained glass, and it was nice. It was nice. It is proper Trek, and it did try to get back to that Planet of the Week thing, you know, that or alien species of the week. And unfortunately, the alien species were human, which I thought was, you know, a bit of a waste, bearing in mind that they could meet anyone, but they meet more humans. Is it an enjoyable episode?
I enjoyed it.
I got through it. Would I watch it again? I mean, it's not on my list. It's just not on my list. And the reason being is, as Brush said, that Burnham gets all the shit to deliver and the opposing points of view and has to be that annoying character. Tilly actually, I think, gets all the mansplaining to do. So someone will say something and she'll say, oh, it goes kaboom. And I'm like, oh, like, you have to explain everything like that. And it's pissing me off. Like the real broken down. So we're going to do this with the temporal thing, blah, blah, blah. And then she'll go, time crystals. And it's just hard for me to like it. I think I like something more cerebral and a little bit less. I mean, visually very stunning, but the storyline and the characters I find simply not believable and poorly acted. I got through it to the end. Visual stunning. Obviously spent a lot of money on it. Sound effects great. Sets great. Yeah. Cast shit. Storyline shit. Everything. All the elements are there for this to be great. Like there is no more support needed. And I think there is some talent there as well. There's some talent in the cast. But it's just squandered so badly on this drivel.
It's almost like if you were completely new to Trek, right, and you started with Discovery, you would almost expect all other Trek to be like that. And that could really put somebody off with something that they would otherwise really enjoy. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so different that if that doesn't click with you, you will, you know, you would assume that all other Trek is the same, and that could really damage you.
Yeah.
Can you imagine Can you imagine after watching this, right? After watching Discovery, you think, I'm going to watch Star Trek: The Next Generation. I've heard a lot of people rave on about that, and then the first thing you see is Encounter at Farpoint with Q going.
Yeah.
It's not season 1 and 2. My God.
Go on, then.
If I could just play devil's advocate, if someone was completely haven't seen Star Trek at all, a film, an episode, or even know what it's about, and let's be fair, that's difficult, and the first thing they saw was Discovery, they would probably like it. And I'm going to tell you why. They would probably like it because they've been brought up with things like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and such alike. And standard Trek Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, I don't think it would hold up for a viewer's audience that's been watching those kind of programs, whereas Discovery probably would.
Yeah. The effects are a good point. Yeah, I agree.
I don't think so. I think all of them, like Walking Dead, is a thing. Like Negan's one of my favourite characters on TV.
Oh, he's a legend. Love that man.
And now,
I hope you're wearing your shitting pants because you're gonna shit your pants.
Yeah. Like, who are you? You better be joking. You know what I mean? I love that. I even made spaghetti. He's just got the lines that he drops. Now they have to get rid of characters. They got rid of characters in Disco, but they kind of blew them out of a fucking airlock or some shit. And it was just when they got rid of characters in The Walking Dead, it was dramatic. It was gripping. It was massive. This is, and in comparison, this is weak. And it's a shame because it looks great. It's just hard to watch. It's like having all the finest ingredients to cook a meal and then burning the fucker on purpose. and then serving it to someone. That's the way I see it. And if you're running a restaurant and that's what you're doing, we have the finest ingredients served in the worst possible way. People ain't going to come back and buy.
What really gets me about Discovery is they set a storyline up at the beginning of the series, and the first 2-3 episodes, you think the climax of this is going to be great. See, it starts off with these 7 signals, and the way it's delivered in the end episode, you think, what a load of crap. And then they go and do it again. You had the burn. What was it? A kid who cried a lot. Yeah,
And,
I'm really sorry, Rashid. We're sort of shitting over something you really, really like, mate. And to be fair, though,
That's right. I like getting disagreement in a way, because if you all like the same thing, it'll be a boring conversation. I like hearing the opposing views. I find it interesting. I just want to ask John. You said there's some characters that's got promise, got potential. Who are they? I want to know who are those characters, John, in Discovery?
So, I mean, for me, Tilly's got a lot of potential. And
Tilly, right?
I stopped watching it, but I can see her character arc. You know what I mean? Like, with a nod to Rachel, Data was my guy. Growing up, watching The Next Gen, Data was my guy. And that whole Pinocchio thing. So I want Tilly to do that. I want her to find her confidence, her strength, and stop that babbling, jammering kind of scatty, erratic shit. I want that to stop. I want her to find herself. Saru does have wisdom, and Saru's growing. He's coming out of some sort of adolescence thing with his tentacles and all of that lot. And he's calm, and he keeps saying to Bernard, and I think he says to her in the series, "Do you know why you keep? You know what? You're just a walking up because you don't do as you're told, and you don't learn." And he says that.
Is that exactly what he says? Is that verbatim?
Yes. Yeah, Hugh Colbert. Miles of room in that character. Again, not really used properly as far as I can see.
Right.
Mr. Cruz, the actor, dynamite, shit hot, and can handle what you give him. If you give him emotion, drama, comedy, if you give him something to handle, he plays it well on screen. I forget I'm watching a TV program. I invest in the character. I'm not going to go into Pike because Pike, this was a vehicle for Pike to move on to his own show. But those are the characters that I like. Stamets, I can't stand him, and Burnham can't stand.
I gathered that.
That's quite interesting because I wasn't sure whether you'd like it or not, Patches. I was confident Steve would like it, although maybe not like it, but he, like I say, he did kind of enjoy it.
I enjoyed it.
I was really looking forward to this. I was expecting positive vibes, but which you're not expecting from, because normally when we talk about Discovery, it's always we're slagging it off. But it's been, I mean, obviously there's a lot of negative stuff that you've just said, but overall for this episode, it feels like what most people say is positive. Maybe not so much you, Patches, but at least you did have some positive stuff to say, about it.
Do you know what? I didn't really want to sit here and slag it off completely, and I looked for something that I did like.
Yeah.
But we could have reviewed any episode of Disco, any episode, and I'd be saying the same shit. Wow, really nice graphics, really nice sound effects, sets brilliant, characters, storyline, shocking.
Hey, did you watch it?
Yeah.
What did you think?
Love it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Brilliant.
I'm sorry, guys. Me and D haven't got a problem with Discovery. We haven't. We enjoyed it for what it is. All right, it's a bit of fresh blood. It's away from the norm of Star Trek, but everyone slagged off Deep Space Nine when that first came out, and everyone didn't like that because it's not Trek. And with the religion thing, it was all right because they combined every religion into one, so that wasn't a problem. It's when they just stick to one religion I just see a problem with that. But everything else was good.
Where if I was watching it with someone would say to me, "Why are you watching
Hold
this?"
on, let me put this on mute. Hold on. Right. What? Yeah? No?
Here we go.
Yeah, no. No, it's Thursday. I'm doing this bloody podcast, isn't it? Yeah.
I'd love it if you muted him.
No. Well, no, I did see the doctor, and he wasn't happy. He said, "Look," he said, "if you don't put the cream on it, it's going to itch. So I've got to put it on twice a day instead of once a day." Yeah. All right then. Tomorrow down the pub. Yeah, what time? You're not bringing her with you, are you? If you're bringing her, I ain't coming out. No. Well, look, I'm sorry, but if she follows me in the toilet again, then, you know, I'm going to follow her in the toilet.
You'll have a new dose of the clap.
No. Yeah, right.
Worst acting ever.
Yeah, booster seat.
Mr. Tilly.
Oh.
Was it one of those? Was it one of those sales calls? Was it?
No.
Go on then, D.
When it first started, I was like, I don't remember this episode. I know I've seen it, but I just don't remember it. So I settled in. I mean, the intro, before the bloody credits started, I was like, we've been in this half an hour now. What do you mean the credits are just starting?
Yeah.
It just felt like absolutely ages before the credits. I mean, all right, this is where they start throwing back to bringing the old Star Trek with Kirk and Pike and everybody. This is where they start bringing these characters back into the episodes that, you know, I think it's the springboard basically for Strange New Worlds. I think this is the genesis of Strange New Worlds and how it came about. Things that wound me up about it was when Stamets said fungi. Fungi was shouting at the teller, speak
It's
proper.
funky.
And always, every time they do the bloody spore jump, it makes me jump. Every time. And it was no different. I knew it was coming. I knew it was expected, and it still made me jump. But my favourite line in the whole of the programme was the one that Pike said in the seat when he said to Mr. Saru, "A highway made of mushrooms." I was like, yay!
This ship can skip across the universe on a highway made of mushrooms.
I just thought that was a top line.
Therapy
I
at some
felt
point.
really bad for Jacob, though. I felt so sorry for Jacob. The man knew what was going on. He wasn't under any illusions. Why couldn't he go with you? Why couldn't you take him back to Earth? It was all he ever wanted.
Yeah, but I think with that, he wouldn't be going back to his Earth.
That said,
No.
I think he was
that
happy
said,
though, weren't
he
he?
never asked.
No, I
He
didn't.
never once said, "Take me with you."
No, he didn't.
He never once asked.
For him, it was enough to know that him and his family, who are probably long gone because it's 200 years since or whatever, were right. Remember, him and Pike have a bit of an exchange where they say, "We'll meet again," or "I know we will." And I think it's Jacob, unless I'm remembering it wrong.
Vindication, you mean? Just that
what?
absolute vindication.
Yeah, I think it was vindicated. His family are right. It's like, do you know what? Especially if maybe they've been a bit alienated because of what they were thinking. And I think that was just genuinely good enough for him. And it's like, do you know what? I can put this obsession he's got, he can put it to bed now, maybe live life properly. And also that final scene, maybe not of the episode, but of that, place of Eden, is when he lights that beacon and the church lights, and I thought that was really quite strong imagery there. All this light, and everyone gathers outside 'cause it looks like a big religious happening, and it feels as though Jacob from that point onwards is gonna kind of like marry the two worlds together. They're not going to switch from religion to science. Maybe they shouldn't do that, and you just feel like their world and Starfleet world is going to slowly converge, because of that. And he could be like a leader of the people. I don't mean in terms of a dictatorship. I just mean quite people will look up to him and respect him for what he says now. Now, especially now he's got this power cell with a very long battery life, whatever he says, but not in a way like, "Oh, you guys are all wrong, you're all stupid, blah, 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 blah." Because he's such a good guy. They think, do you know what? They've left that piece of technology in really, really safe hands. This guy's not going to abuse it, and it's going to be used for good. And it feels as though they fly off and their story continues.
I would have liked to have known just how long that battery cell had.
Well, it depends, doesn't it, what you got plugged into it. I mean, if you're powering all the lights in the church compared to, say, just charging his smartphone,
To be fair, though, they put the lights on in that church and it glowed like a fucking beacon.
Yeah, it's got lost 5 minutes.
You never forget your first, sir.
I enjoyed it